In 2008, and that was a good 20 years after the war, it all came to a halt, and I pulled a gun. We hear the horror stories. We hear the 22 service members a day who commit suicide. There's 50,000 veteran nonprofits in America, and the problem is getting worse. My name is Kuhn. I'm from central Pennsylvania, currently living in Budapest, Hungary, and I left the military as a sergeant. When you leave the military, that falls away. One does not go to war or even join the military without it changing you in some way. I decided to enlist in the Army of all branches back in 1986 when I was in high school. And I decided to join because there was two reasons. Of course, patriotism is always a big reason for a lot of us, but the driving force was actually that I knew that where I was stuck in a quagmire of who I thought I was. And there was no way for me to break out because everyone around me saw me as who I was in that moment, and I couldn't understand how I could surpass that, how I could get past their judgment. And it felt like judgment at the time. So I enlisted literally to get out of there and to find out who I really was. It was important to me because I knew there was somebody bigger inside of me. I had no idea how to do it. So I figured a break like that, going into the military, getting my head shaved, and just going all in would really force me into the zone of uncomfort, so to say. And it worked. And you have to almost start over again. I got out, I was 27 years old, and I had to start, it was like I was 18 again. I had no idea about the civilian world. And the way it changed me was, first of all, I knew that that I made it through war, that I could make through civilian life. I knew that. That didn't stop the episodes that I had, or that friends of mine had, where we would get depression or worry about where we were going and what we're doing on this planet and why we're even here and why we survived. In total, I served just around 7 years. Most of that time I was in Germany during the Cold War, and then when the wall came down, I actually went to Iraq in Operation Desert Storm. And I think, a lot of what society thinks about soldiers, they always ask that question, what was the scariest point, the scariest time in your career? And I think there's two times that really scared me. One was sort of fear from the outside, one was fear from the inside. And the fear from the outside was when I was on border patrol, we had troops all around us, and we were always right on the border to East Germany looking at Ivan the Terrible, and it was a very clear line. So on that side were the enemies, on this side were the good guys. And there was an accident where some of my friends died. And it was just it was an accident during training. So that scared me from the outside, saying, look, we're not even at war and people are dying already. And that made me nervous. Like, okay, I need to watch out what I'm doing here. I'm running around in 72-ton tanks, and you get pinched between one of those, it's over. So that was the fear from the outside. I think the fear from the inside started when I landed in Iraq, or in Saudi Arabia to be specific, in December of 1990. Landed in Iraq, or in Saudi Arabia, and it was like, okay, we're in a foreign country, they want to kill us. This is what we were sort of led to believe. Well, Saudi Arabia wasn't the enemy, so we were fine there. So the peak of fear dropped down a little bit. Then we moved into our hide positions in the desert, and the fear shot up again, higher than it had ever been. And then we were there for a while, and it fell back down again. And then we moved out to the attack positions, and once we got to the attack positions, it shot up again. Scud missiles started flying. The air war began. The bombs started dropping, and the earth would shake and rattle for 12, 15 hours a day.